Hey everyone, welcome back to Talking Toads. This is Austin and I got Reed here. We are fresh off a Iron Skillet win, perhaps the last ever Iron Skillet game, as TCU takes care of SMU. 24-35 was the final score. Reed, how are we feeling? Gosh, almost 24 hours later now.
Yeah, it looks like you got a little sunburn to you.
Yes, I think we both got some sun. It was a little warm. Those 11 a.m. games are tough, man. We had to get up, I don't know, 6 o'clock, make our way over to Fort Worth, and try to have some sense of a tailgate. And then you don't want to miss kickoff. So those early games are tough, and then leading into that hot afternoon, it's ridiculous.
It is. It's horrible. And I have a proposal or request to Mike Buddy in the Big 12.
Okay, let's
Are
hear
you
it.
ready for this? Okay.
Yeah,
We should ban all afternoon games for TCU in the Carter during September. Every year it is way too hot. I feel like it affects attendance as well. Shout out to the student section, though. It looks like all of them were there pretty much all four quarters, and that was the highest record for the students. I think it was around like 6,500 or so, which is pretty good for around 10,000 enrollment. But yeah,
absolutely.
all the afternoon games in September need to go away. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the players. I know there's like TV contracts and all that, but it's horrible as a fan just baking out there in the sun for 4 hours every Saturday.
Yeah, there's aside from simply moving the game time, which you're right, that would be amazing. I know a few fans that would definitely be happy with that. It's it's almost like I think they just need to simply put a retractable roof on or something. I mean, or a canopy roof of some sort. Not trying to be hyperbolic, but it definitely affects the fans. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, did you see the 400 level? We can't even fill it up." Well, a lot of those people are in the concourse, especially in the club level. If you see on the 200 level on both sides, there's overhangs. Everyone's huddled up in there. I
Yeah.
know myself, my tickets were in the, I guess that would be the northeast corner, typically where away fans will typically sit. But I was baking in the sun. I moved actually to just find a row where me and my buddy could just sit in the shade up even a little bit higher. So it does. It messes with the fans, obviously. I think it has an effect on the team too. And I wonder, I don't know what your take is. Do you think that's some of the reason why some of these defenses might look a little gassed on some of these drives? I was going to get into my own frustrations with some of the TCU defensive drives. But do you think that that's got to play a part into why perhaps the Big 12 offenses can kind of take advantage of these defenses that are just gassed?
For sure, and especially when you're playing an up-tempo team like SMU, it's going to cause major dehydration and stress on the defense. And I feel like our defense, it's pretty good at 2D, but 3 and 4 wise, it's really not too great. Especially on the defensive line. I know we're kind of a solid 1 and 2 unit there, but when you get into the third team and fourth team, it really affects your depth. And that heat, it just seems impossible. Um, but yeah, going into the defense for a sec, it looked like they just couldn't get off the field, and I wonder if that was them just being tired or not.
I think they were, and I think one thing I was really excited about in the North Carolina game was being able to run the ball and establish the run, so it opens up some offensive plays. I thought SMU did a pretty good job of that early on, and it does when you do that and you establish the run and you run on first down and maybe you get 3 yards and then you do a slant and then you run again. You're ending up that next first down play or that later on the 3rd and 8 that you end up with. You're playing the second string D line, or there's some starters that are sitting on the sideline because you've gassed them for a few plays. So I think establishing the run is obviously extremely important, and I think SMU did a pretty good job of that early on, and it affected our defense immensely. It was very evident they were gassed.
And yeah, going back, so I know we just talked about the defense, but the offense too. The offensive line, I was very pleased with during the North Carolina game, but over the past 2 weeks, I feel like that run blocking issue we were talking about at the start of the year, that's kind of come back to a surface in a way. If you look at the stats, we ran it 36 times for 140 yards for 3.9 yards a carry. And I know some of those were Hoover. maybe doing like a quick 2 yard run or even taking a knee at the end of the game, which affects your yards. But if you look at John Denman, he had 5 carries for 0 yards. Nate Palmer, 2 carries for 2 yards. Trent Battle, he had a pretty good day, 7 carries, 60 yards. Payne, 12 for 53.
What
Battle
about
and
Hoover?
Payne.
How many yards did Hoover end up with? Because he had some nice runs early on.
I was going to
That I
say that
saw.
later on. I like how Bryles drew up some play calls, especially on third down, where it was a QB draw. I think it was probably around third and 6 or so, and we haven't seen that in the past. So I like them using Hoover's legs more. But he had 8 carries for 27 yards, a long of 13. So if you just
Yeah.
take out the long yards that Battle, Payne, and Hoover have, Battle had 27, Payne had 22, Hoover had 13. The carry to yards ratio isn't that great in my opinion, and I think that's just due to the O line not being able to make good holes for them because we know how shifty Battle and Payne are. Um, so I don't know. That's kind of starting to scare me a little bit again, just like it did last year, because we really couldn't run the ball well last year, and even pass protection wise, it wasn't great yesterday. That's by far the most Hoover's gotten hit so far in 3 games.
Yeah, no, it does. It gives me pause. There was only one drive where you were trailing SMU. So if you're winning the game, you should try to control the clock and run. And it's okay. Like I said, it's okay to just get 2 yards sometimes. It's breaking down their defense. That's really the main initiative there. And yeah, I don't know if our O line is not getting enough push, if our running backs aren't seeing the holes. I'm not really quite sure, but that is definitely one. That's one thing that gives me pause about this team is we can't seem to figure it out, and I think that's why I was so excited after the North Carolina game because
Yep.
it looked like we did figure it out, and I was like, oh, sweet. I knew Hoover would be fine. I kind of knew our run defense would be pretty sweet. I didn't know our running backs were going to do this, and that's why I was so excited after North Carolina. Granted, we know that the type of opponent North Carolina is. I think SMU is a better team than North Carolina.
I'll chime in and say I don't think it's the running backs. I actually like all 5 of them. I think it's just more the O line still having that run blocking issue. There just seems to be no push. So hopefully they get that figured out soon. But it sounds like we're Debbie Downers right now, so let's get into the positives.
Absolutely. Real quick on the running backs. Do you think Barnes would have had a if he was completely healthy yesterday and he played? What do you think he ends up with yesterday? Around the same as the other guys, or do you think that would have amplified our efforts?
I think probably around the same as the other guys because with the holes not opening like we would want them to, you'd need a pretty quick guy to burst those. And Barnes, he isn't the fastest guy, and I would say Battle and Payne are, and even Palmer and Denman are faster than him. So I think he would have been able to get those grindy like 2-3 yard carries like you were talking about earlier, but popping a big one, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah, got it. Yeah, let's get into the positives because we did win the game, and we are 3-0. That is not something to just feel like we're kind of slow walking into this thing. We look like a really good team, and I don't want to belabor that type of fact. I guess first off is Eric McAlister has arrived, and we were waiting for that.
We kind of predicted that in a way during the SMU preview. I said I just want to see McAlister get involved, and boy did he! He had let's look at his stats real quick.
I know he had 3 touchdowns, that's for sure. I don't know exactly how many yards. I think over
He
250
had
yards.
8 catches for 250 yards, and it should have been 4 or 5 touchdowns if we're being honest. He got screwed on that one where they didn't even review, and also that Hoover interception that could have been another one.
I was
But
about to say, could you say could have been 5 touchdowns and they all would have been, I mean, really all on Eric McAlister because those 2 slants for, gosh, what
yeah,
did they add up to? Probably 140 yards there. Those two
yeah.
slants were great throws right to the numbers, but then he broke those tackles and then he was gone. I mean, that was all Eric.
Yeah, he just pinballed off the corner, and I guess that was a safety or linebacker coming over the middle. But
And
yeah,
that,
Hoover's stats, especially for the yards, definitely got inflated just because McAllister was able to break those tackles.
well, and it continues. Well, the very first touchdown to McAllister, I thought that was picked. From my angle, from my seats, I thought he threw into double coverage. Eric grabbed it and kind of walked right into the end zone. So that was obviously a great play. the Hail Mary type throw where I know Hoover got hit, but he definitely threw into triple coverage for like 20
Yeah.
yards to get that first down. That was a great grab by Eric. So, man, it was just a great, it was Eric McAlister. Just, it's exactly what you needed from your number one wide receiver. And yeah, he helped Hoover's stats yesterday. Absolutely.
Hoover on the day he finished. Sorry, we're checking the ESPN website real quick. He finished 22 of 40, 379 yards, 9.5 on average, and his QBR was 85.9. I think he would even tell you that wasn't his best day. And still, putting up 379 yards is insane because he was getting banged up like almost every time he dropped back, especially first quarter. It seemed pretty easy, but the second through the fourth, he was getting banged up a lot. So he still had a great day, in my opinion. RG3 said he should be in the Heisman conversation. I feel like he should have been after week one at North Carolina. And if you compare his QBR against Jennings, like I said, Hoover was at 85.9 and Jennings was at 76.8. So
You know where we've arrived as TCU fans with Josh Hoover is I have almost zero stress when he's out there. I know he will figure it out. He just does. Our offense is not our passing offense is not something I worry about. He's very solid. He is efficient. That interception in the end zone, I personally didn't love throwing a fade on second down. I didn't think that was necessary, but they tried it. It was a 50-50 ball, and frankly, maybe Eric should have went to grab that.
I don't think that was his fault at all. I think McAlister would even tell you he should have came down with that, or at least try to get it away from the defender better, because he gave his guy a chance, and with the day Eric was having, I would have as well.
I think it's completely fair to say he should be a Heisman type candidate. He's entered that conversation 3 games in, and I think we would even say he hasn't even been his best self yet
Yeah.
against a really good team. I mean, he's been great in the 3 games, but there's something about it. I think we know he has another gear, which is pretty fun to think about.
That's the exciting part, and I must say he looked pretty drippy yesterday. He had all the white on, obviously. Then he had like the long white sleeve and a fat QB wristband. I'm like, oh, this dude's feeling himself. He's about to go off, which he did.
Even I think he had a celebration on the ground. He was making snow angels. I mean, he's having fun out there, and that's why I say like I feel so good about where he is mentally, physically, which I was worried last play of the game there why they felt like they needed to run a play like that with him in there, and he just gets. It looked like he got walloped, but I guess it was just a cramp. I mean, he struggled to get up, and I was gonna cry.
He said it was just a full body cramp, but I saw them like messing with his arm a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, if he just like snapped a ligament in his elbow or something on the last play of the game that we didn't even need to do, I would have been livid.
Like, why did we run a play like that?
You could have just kicked a field goal or even just ran the ball for another yard or two. Who cares if it was turnover on downs?
Exactly. I thought that was wild, and yeah, if he did get seriously hurt there, that would have been the talk of the weekend. It would have been absolutely ridiculous.
I know we're kind of looking ahead here with what I'm about to say, but I will say I think it is a good thing that we played at 11 a.m. and we ended the game at what 2. And ASU, they had a tough game in Waco that ended at like 10:30 at night, and they had to fly home. So hopefully they're a little banged up, and we have more hours of rest than they will.
Yeah, absolutely. The schedule did not do ASU any favors with that. And I agree. Maybe I don't know where Barnes is in his rehab. I don't know if they're saying let's just rest him against SMU because we want him for ASU. I get the sense we probably won't have him again, but we'll get into that as we know more later this week. Yeah, that's why I was obviously concerned with Hoover. If it was anything really bad, obviously that would be horrible. But even if it causes any concern for a 6-day type of rest for Hoover, it would have just been ridiculous on a fourth down play where you're up, 10 points to win the game.
What do you think Ken Seals was thinking in that moment?
I don't know. I don't even know what I was thinking. I was so stressed.
I almost started crying, dude. No,
yeah. Okay, so flipping to the defense, what's your, I don't know, give a letter grade for the overall defense if you can.
So I sent this in the group chat. The first half a little bit felt like the Joe Gillespie type defense where it was bend but don't break, which drives me insane. And that's been 2 weeks in a row now where we really haven't been able to get to the quarterback, which is concerning. It's not like all gloom over here. They really picked it up when they needed to. Jamel Johnson, he had 2 picks. I think
Yep.
those were his first two of his career.
Yep.
Um, and SMU wise, just at their yardage, like we held Jennings to 290 yards, and he really did have some good throws. I know there was one where Bud Clark almost picked like right off the receiver's hands. He was just a second late. Then their running game, they only had 27 carries for 94 yards. So yardage wise, it wasn't too bad, but I just felt like, especially in the first half, they could not get off the field to save their lives.
Agreed. I love how they played against Jennings. They really didn't give him many yards. I'd have to look, but I don't think there's any way he had more than 20 yards rushing, which I was worried about because I was like, oh, Jennings is going to run for 80 yards on us.
And I did say in the preview he was banged up going into this game, so that might have been why. But he only had 5 carries for 13 yards.
13
So
yards. Yeah. Wow.
can't complain with that.
Can't complain with that. That's exactly what you need to do with a quarterback like that. And you're right. He didn't look completely healthy, and I think we kind of re-aggravated whatever injury he's dealing with too, because you could tell he was shaken up on some of those plays. I do love how we eventually figured it out and got to Jennings. We applied some pressure, and our run game I think continues to be just fine.
Yeah.
I still really worry about our secondary. It just doesn't seem like we're. I don't know if we're not our zone defense. We just kind of let them find their pockets. I think it is a bend don't break type secondary, and
What
I don't love that in the Big 12.
it drives me nuts because I was going to ask you what's your biggest like positive about the defense so far, and what's your biggest like yikes? This might be a major concern moving forward because right now I don't think the pass defense is mainly on the safeties. I think it's more on the corners. They Vernon Glover, him and McIver, I don't know what's going on, but they've been getting some passes thrown over their head or just some weak coverage. So I would say, I don't know, the D line I think looks fine for the most part, and the safeties are pretty good as well, but the corners kind of scare me still.
I think I'm in the same boat as you. I've been really disappointed in our cornerback play. Aside from, I think Austin Jordan had a good game and Kylan Jackson had a good game. There was a few plays where you could tell their call was to rush from the slot and get to the quarterback, and they were pretty successful at that. So I do like how they kind of have those Swiss Army knives to kind of jump in there. But our one-on-one coverage on the outside corners is subpar so far, and we'll get into it next episode. But Tyson against our outside corners just gives me great pause.
Yeah, it is. It's good to know that we have a guy like Bud Clark who will be over the top in providing safety help. But yeah, the corners definitely have to step up more. And Dykes' post-game press conference, he didn't seem too happy about the corners again. I know he said they played better than they did last week, but still, it's nothing that'll. It's not like a major positive or something you can rely on as of now. Hopefully that changes as the season goes on. But man, yeah, there was just so many, not even busted plays. They were just getting beat.
It's just not going to cut it against a really good wide receiver like you face next weekend, or when you play Baylor. There's some good wide receivers there. Like, I don't want to downgrade SMU in any way. That's a good football team. I think they'll still be a player in the ACC this year. I think it's a really good win, but they're not some of these Big 12 talents. So that does give me pause. There were some good adjustments, and great shout out to Jamel Johnson. Those 2 picks, granted they were in the fourth quarter, that was the nail in the coffin, and you have to do that. You have to win the turnover battle, whether it happens in the first half in an end zone like SMU did, or whether it happens in the fourth quarter when you have them on their heels. Statistically, winning the turnover battle wins you the game. I mean, it's just a tale as old as time.
Did you see Dykes' comments about Jamel Johnson? He was like, well, we better teach him how to run those back better because I think he could have returned both of those for pick sixes.
He could have. I'll have to look at that second one where it looked like he had a lot of room, but I think there was a player down for SMU. I don't know if it was Jennings or the running back that was hanging around the 10-yard line. It would have been tough, but yeah, can you imagine a pick six to end the game like that? That would have been wonderful.
Yeah. And I don't know how my over pick didn't hit. That should have hit 50 different ways.
I mean, there was definitely obviously everyone's talking about the Eric McAlister touchdown on the sideline that they didn't even call a catch.
The missed field goal.
The missed field goal, even on both sides, both teams missed a field goal. So yeah, there were some points left on the board there, and I agree. I think TCU could have won this game even more handedly, but it kind of went down how we thought. It would be a little bit of a battle, a little bit frustrating. Mostly on ourselves, just the way kind of we played. Nothing against SMU, but it wasn't like they looked like the better team in any phase. It was just kind of stupid things by TCU, and yeah, we probably could have won by more points.
And that is a positive, though. If you're still winning these games and you know you should have won by way more, that just helps the players and coaches knowing like there's more that we can get into and we can beat these teams even more handedly. And Hoover said in his postgame, he was like, good teams figure out a way to win the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And if you're looking up the stats there, TCU scored 14 and SMU scored 7. And SMU actually took the lead for a little there in the fourth, and we scored like that right after they did.
And it was our friend Jordan Hudson, too.
Of course. He scores every time he plays against us. So that just shows like a team that's mature and no moment's too big for them. Kind of switching topics real quick. Do you mind if I go on a quick rant about our good friend Rhett Lashlee?
Yeah, let's talk about Rhett.
I'm just going to read a post-game quote that he had yesterday. There's a lot to it, so I'll just stick to the first few sentences. Sorry that I'm looking at my phone right now. Okay. So, quote unquote, I'm sure it was a really big deal for them to win this game after what we did to them last year. They were motivated. We put 66 on them. We didn't beat them today. They did. We're 3-3 in the last 6 times we played them. They were the ones that chose not to play, and when you lose, you really can't say anything. He is saying something, by the way, but I think they know what we're building. I think they know what's coming. I think everybody else does. This stinks. I hate losing. I hate losing to them. I hate losing to anybody, blah, 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 so on, so on. Homeboy, you're 1-3 against TCU. You aren't 3-3. Dykes had 2 of those wins against TCU. So I don't want to hear it from you that you're 3-3 against them. You're 1-3 and you're a loser. Take the L and go home.
And the whole ACC stance is hilarious when the Big 12 continues to just put a pounding on the entire conference as well. So he's trying to make it bigger than just SMU, TCU. Tries to bring in the ACC as a whole, and I don't know why this guy is so full of pride.
He is just one of the biggest complainers in all of college football. I actually posted that on our Instagram account yesterday, that quote, and we weren't even allowed to tag him. So I don't know if he has like some blocking thing with TCU accounts, but it's weird because you can usually tag whoever.
And also a side note, I'm on record. I did not want the Iron Skillet to end. I think it is great for the sport. But one of our buddies brought up a good point. Very easy for SMU and ACC teams, or really any other team but TCU, to give us crap for canceling this. It's very easy to say as an ACC team that only has 8 conference games a year. You obviously need to fill your schedule with some better opponents. I'm sorry that's no longer going to be TCU on there. So totally different circumstances. The Big 12 is packed with some really great talent. And I think, I'm not trying to justify it, but I think TCU's angle was, our schedule is already packed enough, and it did little upside to have SMU on the schedule for the foreseeable future. Again, wasn't in favor of it, but there's definitely 2 ways of thinking about it.
And people tend to forget this game was canceled before SMU was in the ACC.
Yes,
so there
too.
really was no benefit of us playing, because either we would lose and that would make us look like idiots, or we would win and be like, oh, that's not even a Power 4 team. So everyone just remember this game was canceled before they joined the ACC. And to finish off that quote real quick, he said, and we're not going to worry about what happens 40 miles west of us. It seems like he's worrying about what's happening 40 miles west from him.
It's also funny, like, I mean, what are the chances he stays now with possible with
Arkansas,
Arkansas?
Florida.
There's some other bigger schools out there that I'm sure will give him a call. It's just so
I
funny
mean,
how righteous he feels he needs to be.
him taking credit for two of those wins when that was Dykes is unbelievably hilarious. Like, how delusional are you?
He doesn't he doesn't seem like a serious guy. Uh, I think he knows he has a little bit of imposter syndrome going on. I think he's living off the high that was last year, and I guess you have to give them credit for that. Um, but yeah, not a great quote at the end of the game. It felt a little bit woe is me.
So his facts were wrong. And the thing that gets me is if Dykes kept mentioning how we played in the national championship 3 years ago, that would drive me insane. He's talking about a regular season win from last year
Yeah.
against a team who has literally beat their ass for the past 20 plus years.
Yep. Yeah. Good point. He wasn't even if he had good facts and it was annoying, that'd be one thing. He was actually just factually incorrect in 60% of that whole statement.
Yeah, and a lot of SMU fans, they keep highlighting last year. Tell me what their best win was last year. Florida State, who finished 2-10, or us, who finished 9-4. So
Right.
their best season, they beat a team that was 9-4. That was their best win.
Mic drop. So what else from the game? I mean, what do you think? I mean, the rankings are going to come out later today. We're recording before the AP poll comes out. Do you want to be ranked, or do you still kind of be in the shadows?
Keep being low profile. I think that helps the coaches motivate the players better and doesn't make the players feel like they're the bleep. To be fair, you can fill in that word. You can guess what it is. So no, I like TCU being in the low profile role, and they eventually just creep up on everyone, and they finish top 15, top 20. So keep them unranked for now, and I think that'll help the team just be more motivated moving forward.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. I kind of want them unranked going to Arizona State, but that's a big one, and we'll have to preview that on the next episode.
I just want to give Coach Dyke some credit here. Our last 7 games last year, we finished with 6 wins and only 1 loss. And if we add that to this year, we're 9-1 over our last 10. There's really no like sexy win in there. To be fair, we beat Utah on the road, and we also beat Tech, who we came back from and beat 35-34 last year. Um, so there were a couple good wins there, but being 9-1 in the past 10, I feel like that's kind of going under the radar, and Dyke should be getting more credit for that.
And then how many is that in a row? It's 9-1 in the last 10, but is that 6, 7 games in a row?
It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 in a row.
That's not nothing. And you're right. Some of these opponents weren't great, but winning 7 in a row and 9 of your last 10 is something to note. I think it does give a glimpse into this coaching staff. You know, that hasn't really changed that much over the last 2 to 3 seasons. There's some real continuity there, and the players are bought in. You could even tell after this game, celebrating the Iron Skillet, knowing it was the last one, at least for the foreseeable future. It meant something to this team, and they're not afraid to celebrate some wins, which I love seeing on social media.
I love it too. And even if a player like Dwyer, who really didn't go off yesterday against SMU, he's still out there celebrating, you know? So it's good to see they aren't like a selfish team from what it looks like on the outside. And McAlister said yesterday he had been blocking his ass off for the past 2 weeks, so he knew the ball would find him eventually. So I just love that mentality from the team, and it's exciting to know that they have that mentality moving forward.
One more point. I didn't realize, just a small thing. Has Dwyer been returning punts all year, or was that just yesterday?
I'm probably not the right person to ask. I
I
might
thought that
have.
was an interesting wrinkle. I feel like that's always been maybe because Bailey's been hurt, and that was always Major Everhart back there too. And I know he's been in and out of the lineup. I think Ed Small was taking some punts against ACU. I actually liked that Dwyer was back there. It's getting him the ball more, which good coaches do that. If you have a playmaker, you just find ways to give them the ball. So anyway, just a small little wrinkle. I really liked getting him involved. Also, shout out to Manjack. We got some nice plays out of there too.
I was
Uh,
just about to bring that up.
yeah, actually met his father in the stands. He had a Manjack jersey on, and I could tell you could tell. I'm like, okay, you're Manjack's
It
dad, aren't
makes
you?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
And
was funny. I saw on Twitter after he got his first touchdown, some random account, they said TCU just had a dude with no gloves, tape, armbands, arm sleeve, and no show socks score a touchdown. That just describes him perfectly.
it's amazing. He's just he's such a great soldier, and I love that they're getting him involved. I was happy to see that too. So
Yeah.
some
This
really our offense is something to be excited about. I definitely do not want that to be a missed point here.
Right. And I know we've been like nitpicky, especially to start this episode, but hopefully over the past 15, 20 minutes or so, we've shown like how excited we are for this offense. And I think the defense, they're just going to keep getting better and better. So it's definitely a positive moving forward. And especially since we avoid Utah, Tech, Kansas, all those teams, it should be a pretty exciting season for the Frogs.
Absolutely. We'll have to get into the rest of the Big 12 on the next episode because I do have some comments about that Tech Utah game, even that ASU and Baylor game. The Big 12, it starts now, and we'll have to get into that into the next episode. But you're right. We're 3-0. We scored over 120 some points in the first three games. There's some really great positives, and it's coming down to the end of September. This is what we've been dreaming about all year, is to be 3-0 and headed into Big 12 play. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. A reminder to please like, subscribe, follow us on social media. Reed continues to be very active on TikTok, so please give him some support there.
Leave a comment that Lesher has to start doing talks too. I don't want to be the only 28-year-old plus man being on there. So make sure he's on there too.
I'll get on there. And please send in some more questions. We've actually gotten a few in the last week or so. Even if you have some questions for the players and coaches, we can reach out to them and do some more rapid fire questions like we've done with some of the players so far. So again, please continue to like and subscribe, follow us, and we'll talk to you in a few days as we ramp up for Tempe, Arizona. Appreciate it. Go Frogs, and Iron Skillet is ours forever.